The 49ers are a terrifying mess. After losing 3 straight games to the Browns, Vikings, and Bengals, it was pretty obvious that the 49ers were a complete mess. But after absolutely destroying the Jacksonville Jaguars 34-3 this Sunday, it looks like they're finally back to being their old selves. Overall, they played an amazing game on both sides of the ball. Brock Purdy threw 296 yards for 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. He also had a completion percentage of 73.1. His overall rating was 148.9, which is just insane. Then running back Cristian McCaffery had 95 yards on 16 carries rushing, and he also had 6 receptions for 47 yards receiving. But sadly, he ended his 18-game touchdown streak and only tied the all-time record. Tight end George Kittle also had an amazing game, catching 116 yards on only 3 receptions. He had a touchdown on one of those receptions as well. On the defensive side of things, Fred Warner had an interception, Nick Bosa had 1.5 sacks, and the new addition Chase Young had a strip sack that ended up being a turnover. Chase Young had an amazing first performance and really accompanied Nick Bosa well. It almost looked unfair watching those two set the edges. While the 49ers did have an amazing game, I think there's more to that than people think. Going back to those 3 losses, there was one trend that caught my attention. In all 3 games, there was at least 2 essential players out. In that time, Deebo Samuel got injured against the Browns in the first quarter, then Trent Williams went out with an ankle injury, followed by Cristian McCaffery, who came out in the second half with an oblique injury. McCaffery did end up coming back in the following game against the Vikings, but Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams did not end up coming back until this week against Jacksonville. I believe that when the 49ers offense isn't fully healthy, they flat out suck. Now, let me explain. For the past 18 games or so, Brock Purdy has shown that he's a smart quarterback with some sneaky speed. When it comes to making the right throw, Brock Purdy seems like a robot, and I think this stems from having such a clean pocket. When you have full trust in your linemen and you hardly ever get touched, it's quite a bit easier to make good reads. And I'm not trying to diss Brock Purdy at all. Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance had the same team and couldn't win many games, but Brock Purdy is getting the job done and playing perfectly. But I think that's where the losses come in. When Brock Purdy doesn't have a perfect team to help him get the job done, he panics. I also believe that Deebo Samuel is a massive part of these losses. Even though Brandon Ayuk is leading Deebo this season, I think Deebo is the key to their receiving core. Opposing teams completely key in on Deebo Samuel, putting their best corner on him or even double covering him at times. When opposing teams do this, it completely opens up the rest of the offense for the run game, as well as opening up Brandon Ayuk to be able to make all of the plays that he does. In those 3 losses, Ayuk was playing as the number 1 receiver and was limited since the defense keyed in on him. And obviously in the game against the Browns, losing Cristian McCaffery limited everything for them in the run game. It just seems like when things aren't perfect, Brock Purdy collapses and fails to lead his team to a tough win. Now, I don't think this is all on Brock Purdy. Kyle Shanahan has structured the offense in such a way where it can't perform without its key pieces. This is obviously a really bad thing with the way they performed in their 3 straight losses, but when they're healthy, they are just unstoppable. I have no doubt in my mind that if the 49ers offense can stay healthy, they will make it to the Super Bowl and most likely destroy their opponent. Now, with that being said, they're still the 49ers, and you can't be the 49ers without having a ton of key injuries going into big games. By the way, I love discussing football with you guys, so be sure to join the Discord to talk with me and other football fans about some of these amazing and horrible teams. Also, if you enjoyed this video, I think that you would like one of the videos on screen. Anyways, the 49ers are a mess when they have injuries, but when healthy, they terrify the NFL.